Welcome into Training Camp Live, presented by American Airlines. It is Thursday in Oxnard as training camp rolls on. He's Tommy Yarrish. I'm Kyle Youmans. And Tommy, we have a special treat today. Brian Schottenheimer gave us a little bit of insight during his press conference this morning. It's time for one-on-ones, and we already have one reception. CeeDee Lamb over the top of Deron Bland. These are scripted one-on-ones. These guys are really excited about it. As they move to the left side, we get to see Pickens and Kaiir Elam.
Yeah, this is exactly what you live for as a football player, right? One-on-ones, and that's a great move from Pickens off the line to beat Elam on the crosser. No, but this is what you look forward to, right? And I think Brian Schottenheimer handled this the right way in the sense that he showed his guys the matchup, so they had some time to build up the hype, build up the anticipation. And now they get to go up against one another, and now you're going to see a good speed battle here with Kevontae Turpin and Keemon Hall.
How about that? That's a little DFW Metroplex college battle, TCU versus North Texas. And of course, Turpin's had a great camp so far. Keemon Hall starting to fight for that nickel cornerback spot, but that one won by Turpin. No surprise there.
Yeah, 3-0 offense so far. These corners are going to need to fight back here a little bit. It's good coverage from Keemon Hall and good coverage on the first trap. I know he came to it late on Deron Bland, and he was blanketed all over him. Dak Prescott just put in a good spot.
Israel Mukuamu with a win over Jalen Tolbert. Tolbert just couldn't build that separation there, and Mukuamu maybe a little handsy, but they're going to let that happen during these types of physical portions of practice.
Yeah, that's where Israel Mukuamu's length is so valuable, right? Even if Jalen Tolbert has half a step on him, he can use his big arms, big body to stretch across and bat that ball away.
This is Ryan Flanoy with a nice move. Goes back to the sideline. Took a hit from Robert Rochelle there, but he's able to reel it in either way.
Yeah, double move there at the top of the route, and Flanoy gets more than enough separation. Rochelle still able to close in fairly well, but end of the day, good spot from Joe Milton on the throw, too.
Oh, just a straight fade from Jonathan Mingo. He holds on into the end zone. Mingo showing out in one-on-ones.
And then he threw it back maybe farther than Dak Prescott threw it to him. That was a cannon. He might have hit Will Greer on the other side of the field before he threw a pass.
I want to know what the trash talking was like there from Troy Pride prior to that rep, because it looked like Mingo had a little extra juice on the one-on-one. Now It's Joe Milton at quarterback. Jalen Brooks at wide receiver made the move inside. Able to hold on. What strong hands there from Brooks.
Yeah, and that quick move there to beat Harmon off the top of the route just completely shook him off, and Harmon couldn't make up the space.
Just held on to the football. A bit of a low throw there from Mingo. Keep that one in mind. Jalen Cropper. Oh, an inside-out move. That was nasty from Jalen Cropper.
Yeah, Zion Childress looks like just lost his footing there, but good job from Cropper to cross him up, and immediately Childress going back to the sideline, getting some coaching on how to handle those kinds of situations. Cropper's been a guy at training camp that has flashed plenty, so no surprise that he can win a route like that one-on-one.
Back to Elam, now with Mingo. Jonathan Mingo, Kaiir Elam, and a Mingo with a contested catch. Brian Schottenheimer liked what he saw there all over the top of Elam.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want if you're Kaiir Elam. He's in the right spot. He did everything right. Just strong hands from Mingo, just better offense that time.
Mukuamu versus Tolbert. Tolbert goes with inside leverage. There's the separation you want to see from Jalen Tolbert.
Right, only got a half a step the first time around, but that time Tolbert able to really work him over the middle of the field and use that speed to separate, and that time the length from Mukuamu couldn't catch up.
Brian Schottenheimer mentioned these one-on-ones, the first of training camp here in 2025. Might not be the only time they do this, but they'll do it sparingly, and they're going to script it. This is the type of matchups that you will see over and over again. This is one of those undrafted free agents. What a ball from Joe Milton over the top to get that one in the hands.
And he's still holding the finish back there. That was perfect from Milton.
Right to Josh Kelly over the top of Keemon Hall.
Yeah, that you couldn't have placed that ball any better. That is a great throw. And that's what Joe Milton can be at his best, right? He's got a cannon of an arm, and if he can get the timing right, if he can get the spots right, he can be a really good player in this league.
There's Trayshawn Holden building some space, but overthrown there. I believe it was Dak that threw that football.
It looked like Holden was a little bit more focused on trying to build the separation than he was to look at the ball. He looked back at the ball a little bit late there, so couldn't track it, and he would have had to run a little bit more left, but he was just going straight line, so that ended up falling incomplete.
Troy Pride on the defensive side. Ryan Flanoy catching the pass from Joe Milton. Flanoy puts a foot in the ground, and Pride couldn't catch up. Did a nice job of recovering and limiting the damage.
Yeah, that was Troy Pride almost touched grass there, but does a good job of keeping his footing and trying to come back to the ball, but too good on the footwork there from Flanoy.
There goes Jalen Brooks on the outside. A lot of contact that time. No flag, though. They do have referees watching. Haven't seen a flag thrown quite yet.
I don't know how hard they're watching, but that probably would have gotten thrown in a game. That looked like a lot of contact there back and forth.
This is a good opportunity to see some of these younger receivers and younger DBs fight one-on-one, trying to make a roster. Of course, we know what Pickens and Lamb and Tolbert, for the most part, Turpin, all these guys can do, but you get a guy like Ryan Flanoy trying to make the roster, straight gas over the top. Can't get it reeled in over Matthew.
Yeah, that was offline, I think, from the start for Milton. And, like, that's the things that you see there, right? You see the good from Joe Milton where he can throw a deep ball right on the money, but sometimes either he's not on the same page with his receiver or he just lays it out a little bit too far wide like he did that time. So all things that you want to work through at training camp and all things that you want to dial in on as much as you can now when it doesn't matter versus in a game when it does.
Will Greer steps in at quarterback. Up against Israel Mukwamu. It's Trayshawn Holden goes over the top and tiptoes his way in.
Might have been out of bounds there. I couldn't tell from over here, but
like you said, the referees are watching, but they're not watching.
Well, they didn't
closely.
They didn't make a signal, so we have to trust Israel Mukwamu's eye, which says he was out of bounds, and
the defense said they were out of bounds as well. But that's a little biased.
The thing with Holden, right, coming out of Oregon is, man, does he have the speed? And you can kind of tell there he got pressed up pretty early against the line of scrimmages. Now they're barking back and forth at one another. That's why you compete, right? Because you're going to get those tense environments like that. These guys have something to prove. But back to Holden, just not the best top-end speed, and you saw it there, right? He couldn't get past him, but nonetheless able to come down with the catch just out of bounds.
Wrapping up things here on Training Camp Live, presented by American Airlines. Tommy, it's a shorter episode, but we got a lot of competition there. What did you think, and who stood out?
Yeah, compete every day is Brian Schottenheimer's mantra, and that's what we're doing today. So I thought it was good. You know, wide receivers started out really well, 3-0 to start. Not a lot of work for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. That's kind of to be expected. They got their win, and I think Brian Schottenheimer is happy to say, all right, you guys are good. Let's get these young guys some more reps, and it's exactly what you saw. So corners, I thought, were starting to get better a little bit more to the end. Israel Mukwamu had a pretty solid outing there. That last strip against Trayshawn Holden was impressive, being able to jam him at the line and then stay in front of him, not let him get any separation. So overall, balance is what you want, right? And I think you saw more balance there towards the end.
Yeah, you had that sideline used as a third defender or a second defender in this case, and Israel Mukwamu able to end it on a high note for the defense. Overall, pretty even back and forth in the first one-on-one portion of practice. What do you want to see as this practice rolls on?
Well, more of even, right?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, Kyle, is a good sign of a good team is when your defense can win and your offense can win. It doesn't want to be too one-sided either way. Guys are going to have good days, guys are going to have bad days, but for the most part, you want to see consistency in some sense of balance, because that means your defense is figuring things out, your offense is figuring things out, and slowly but surely, things are going to click. And when you go up against a team that's not wearing the same helmet as you, it's going to pay off.
It definitely will. He's Tommy Yarrish. We've got Alex Lilly behind the camera. I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Training Camp Live, presented by American Airlines. We'll see you this weekend as we get closer and closer to the Dallas Cowboys preseason.